Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Words for Life, the podcast where we look for inspiration and motivation through words, ideas, phrases, and people. Today, we are going to do an interview of Lindsay Cousley, and let's just go ahead and get right into it. Lindsay, thank you very much for joining us today.
You're welcome,
Lindsay is
Stephen. Good to be here.
originally, yeah, Lindsay is
Sorry.
originally from Northern Ireland. He's actually spent the last 25 years living in the US in Seattle, New York, and Santa Monica. He is in sales and marketing, or was in sales and marketing, has 20 years of experience in the outdoor and sporting goods area. He also has 6 years of experience in the fast paced cannabis market as well. He's very passionate about being outside. He is an avid cyclist and a surfer, a snowboarder, and a hiker. Just a lot of wonderful outdoor activities, Lindsay. He also had the opportunity to attend Kim Kardashian's baby shower for what it's worth, but that actually is interesting getting on that kind of A-list type of opportunity there. He did also recently launch his new coaching business, Steadfast and Sure Coaching, where he does high performance coaching, and he is committed to being a stand for others' greatness. Thank you very much for joining us today, Lindsay.
Thanks, Stephen. And just to clarify, I wasn't on the A list for the Kim Kardashian baby shower. I was
Okay.
there giving out product. Okay, so I wanted to get that, make that distinction right off the bat that I was not on the A list. I was
Ah.
like I was on like the F list. I think I was there as staff. But anyway, I was there. So there you have that's that.
All right. Well, there you go. Still, you got the opportunity to be there, even if it was on the F list.
Yeah.
Well, Lindsay, again, thank you very much for taking the time to talk with us today. Again, the whole idea behind the podcast is to inspire those around the world to really live wonderful lives, be motivated and inspired. And honestly, some of the things you've done and what you're doing with your life and your coaching business and your cycling is truly inspiring. So I'd like to get into a little bit of that with our listeners. So if you don't mind, would you like to go into your, we'll start off with your coaching business. What
Mhm.
got you into that? What drove you to want to start that?
Well, thank you for acknowledging that, Stephen. Yeah, coaching for me is something I think I've always just been naturally drawn to. I've, from a young age, remember like stepping into kind of leadership roles in, captaincy for my, playing rugby or playing, as we call it, football and back in Ireland versus you guys call it soccer here, but anything that was like just to step up and lead. And it was and that sort of natural next step was coaching. And even from right out of college, I went did my IRFU coaching certificate. That's the Irish Rugby Football Union coaching level 1 certificate. Because I came out here to the States to coach collegiate rugby at the University of Vermont right after I graduated from University of Stirling in Scotland. And I loved it. I loved helping. I loved being the strategy around, especially with rugby, sports coaching, rugby coaching. I loved to see the team win. I love to see the team, they all of the players advance and become better players, become better human beings. It was just for me, it was something that just naturally I loved being around and helping others. Really, I think that was at the end of the day that was kind of what got me into it, Stephen, into coaching, and from there fast forward to, this year where, you and I are both, you're a graduate of Performance Coaching University. I'm soon to be a graduate of Performance Coaching University with Jarek and Amanda Robbins. And it's, I think it was over post pandemic, the last couple of years, trying to find something that really I wanted to take forward into the sort of the next chapter of my life, and something that I could give back and that lit me up. And consumer packaged goods, outdoor, cannabis is great, and I still enjoy. I'm still a gear guy. I love the sales and the marketing strategy, the sales strategy, how the customer journey, all of it. I love all of that, and I enjoy helping others and lifting others up so they can see the light within themselves. I think that that's the real what lights me up. I get a buzz out of coaching that I don't get out of sales and marketing and sales and being a sales director and of a company, for products. And there's I often joke that when I'm coaching clients, I had this one client in Santa Monica I was coaching, and I would go and we'd meet in person at a coffee shop. And when I was riding home, it felt like that scene from E.T. where, he's riding and he's got E.T. in the front basket and he's in the BMX and he's up in the air and they're like riding. And that's what it would feel like when I'd ride my bike home from the coaching. I just felt like I was on a high. It was a huge adrenaline rush.
Wow.
And so I just know it feels good and I really enjoy it. So
Yeah, I can definitely reciprocate with that one. Coaching, it really gives you the tingles, is what I like to call it. It gives you that inner light kind of feeling that you're helping somebody grow into something amazing that maybe they didn't know they could grow into to begin with. So it's really good to hear that. And you can hear the passion in your voice about it as well. You can hear, as you said, being ET or being, riding the bike like it is on ET and riding off above into the moon. So that's a great description of it. Wonderful.
Thank you.
And who's kind of your target when you go and work on coaching, if you don't mind kind of getting into that a little bit?
Yeah, no, thanks for asking. Right now, Stephen, I sort of have two customer segments that seem to be coming naturally to me. And one is that sort of first time leader. So men, women sort of in their 30s, mid 30s who have either been thrust into or are stepping up into a leadership role for the first time. And there's a lot, and for any folks that have been through that, and probably yourself included, you feel like you're drinking from a fire hose. You feel like sometimes you might be a little drowning a little, because no one really gives you, and at least in the companies I work for, no one really set me down like, this is how you lead. And so for me, what I have been doing with those clients is focusing on values-based leadership. So looking at the values to begin with, and really, how do you want to lead? Who, as a leader, do you want to become, based on your values? And then looking at and then sort of honing in and working on kind of the skill set, maybe some of the soft skills that most leadership courses don't really teach. And that's listening. Powerful communication starts in listening. Tony Robbins would always say that. And it does. And it's listening for what the person's actually saying, not for what it is you want to say. And, we're trained. And I think because we always want to be heard, that we want to say, we're just listening for a moment to say something we want to say, as opposed to a really good leader. And to actually, you want to get people where they are. That's the mark for me of a good leader, has been able to get your staff exactly where they are. And from then your staff will do anything. So teaching that sort of powerful, committed listening, committed communication, how to deal with multiple personality types in a workplace, just, a number of skills, how to get over imposter syndrome, as you're stepping into that leadership role, what is there for you around, I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm not supposed to be here, what's at the core of that, separating story from fact. And helping, giving some tools and just creating some mindfulness, Stephen, around that when it shows up for you in that moment, going, I know this. Let me work through this. I get it. It's just a story. Let me step in and step forward and see what happens. And so, so that's been one of my segments, is that sort of emerging leader, which has been really fun. And then the second sort of target customer or target segment that I've sort of come across, or that has been showing up and coming to me, is this creatives that are generally in their 40s and have sort of lost their way a little. And meaning the tools that have got them to where they are not going to get them forward. And it seems, and particularly with photographers, I've found a number of photographers that I have coached that are, questioning while they're in photography, because, with the evolution of iPhones and smartphones, and anybody can do an ad campaign, anybody can shoot like an amazing image on the latest iPhone or Android, that, you went to school to study photography, and you came all the way up and did your time as an apprentice, and, got your own business and started shooting. And a lot of them are kind of losing their way and losing their flow and what it means to be who they are. So, for that, creative is re-establishing goals, like smarter goals. We've talked about that, Stephen, offline for the listeners. Our own little version of SMART goals. Adding the R at the end of specific, measurable, attainable within a certain time frame. But the R at the end stands for what are you going to give up? What are you going to release in order for you to do this new goal? So for that particular client, I find that reassessing their goals, looking at what kind of goals do they want to achieve, and a lot of it is more personal rather than professional, and just getting them moving forward, getting them in action moving forward, and also just holding them accountable. Most creatives don't like to be held accountable, so it's just the fact of like showing up for someone, and every week or every 2 weeks, whatever we have it, and holding them accountable. Like, what's one small action, one big action you want to take away, and let's work towards that. And then I'm going to hold you accountable. I'm going to check it. I'm going to make sure you're going to do this. And so it's been good just to get some forward momentum, because I think just in general, people coming out of the pandemic, Stephen, once we have it sort of squarely in our rear view mirror at the moment. And I think folks are just kind of a little lost. Mostly that's kind of the conversations I'm having when I'm listening. I hear people are lost, a little. So particularly with the creative, it's just getting them refocused again, which has been really great and has been a lot of fun, and has had me dig in a little bit more, to work harder to get some results for them, for sure.
Well, that's wonderful. So, folks, you heard it. Lindsay is working on leadership and then focusing on some creative areas. So, if you're interested, we'll have some links down in the description where you can reach out to him, contact him. Again, coaching is a collaborative effort. It's working together, but it's, as Lindsay said, it's showing up, every week, every 2 weeks with that person to really guide them and help them achieve the desired outcomes they want. So, Lindsay, you put it beautifully. And folks, the smarter one, there is an episode out there for smarter. So go look for it if you're unfamiliar with it. We go into that in a little more detail on that one, but it's a very good one that Lindsay and I had come up with in one of our sessions together prior to. So it's very, very useful. So thanks for going into that, Lindsay. Now, another really big and actually quite inspiring thing is your cycling. It's not just about the fitness and the health and the, honestly, relaxation that kind of comes with it, but you've done something with it that not everyone has taken the time, the thought, and the effort to go and do. Can you kind of go a little bit more into your cycling and what's come out of that?
Yeah, for sure, Stephen. So I am a member of the Fireflies Cycling Club. We are a purpose-driven global cycling club. We have chapters here in LA, San Francisco, London was the original chapter in London, Santiago and Chile, Mexico City. And the sole purpose of the club is to raise money for cancer research. And it has been from day one. The club is over 20 years old. It originally started in London. It's mostly creatives, folks that are in ad agency and the ad world and in the film and production business. It got started in London back about 20 odd years ago. A group of friends that were in the ad world, creative film industry, decided that they were going to Cannes Lions, which is a big festival in Cannes for creative agencies, film. And they decided they were going to ride from Geneva across the Alps to Cannes, and they wanted to do it with a purpose. So they raised money for a local cancer hospital in London. And since then, the club's now evolved into a global club, and we have our chapter here in LA. And so once a year, we put on what's called our West Coast tour. Traditionally, we ride from San Francisco to LA, which is about 550 miles. We do it in about 6 days. This year, we did one in Northern California. We did it in Northern Cal because the Highway 1 through Big Sur had been shut down from a landslide over the winter, so we couldn't get through. So we went from San Francisco north all the way up into Mendocino and back down into San Francisco in all our 5 days, 550 miles. And, there's 50 riders, and we all go out and raise money for a local cancer hospital here in LA called City of Hope. And City of Hope is an amazing facility. Not only are they, help people here in the LA metro area, but a lot of their research and gets used across the globe for blood cancers, leukemia, etc. So they're well known. And a well known here in LA, and well known if you ever have bump up against anybody with cancer, most people have heard of City of Hope. So, this year we raised $580,000 for City of Hope, and over the last 10 years we've raised over $5 million, just by the Fireflies alone. So it's a really fantastic group of people, amazing human beings that are attracted to our club. And, we're not the traditional cycling club. We don't have race teams. We don't have development teams. But we have really cool kits because we have a lot of creative folks that design our kits, and we have a great time. And it's beautiful. And we all love cycling, and we love, raising money. And once a year we get to do this and give back. So it's a beautiful way to be as a cyclist and somebody who loves cycling. And as we talked earlier before we come on air, Stephen, I missed it this morning because of a flat tire. And I was like, it's like you were looking forward to it. I love my Saturday mornings and going out and exploring and being with my teammates, and the conversations you have, and the things you get to see, and just come back having, 5 hours and ridden 80 miles or whatever. And it's just, most people don't associate LA with cycling, but it's an amazing place to cycle if you can deal with some of the traffic and some of the crazy drivers. But once you get up into the Santa Monica Mountains, it's absolutely gorgeous. Up in Malibu, you get out over the back to the San Gabriel, San Bernardino Mountains. It's beautiful. We have the coast, we have the beaches, we have the mountains. It's really beautiful. So cycling is a passion. I love it, and I'm blessed to be a member of Fireflies and being able to raise money for charity.
Yeah, and I mean 550 miles, and it blows my mind. I know I've done my share of what I consider distance riding, but that's amazing. And also being able to raise that amount of money for cancer research, it goes back to probably as we get a little bit into your quote for the day as well, but I won't spoil that just yet. But you have gone through, you're using something you enjoy to go and give back to a community, to the world. And it really ties back into your coaching as well. You want to give back, you want to lift others up, you want to help those in need and those who are looking for direction. So that is amazing. So thank you very much for sharing that and your journey around that. And again, folks, we'll include some links below into the Firefly Club as well. So if you're ever interested, somewhere to sign up and look into those types of things, and join a wonderful community of folks who are cycling enthusiasts who want to go and help the world.
Yeah.
So now we've kind of gotten our introduction of Lindsay, so we get into the fun part, or the more dedicated part of the podcast, which is the quotes. Now, Lindsay has given us a really good quote, and I'm going to have him go ahead and read it off, and we'll talk about that, discuss it, and go into what you all can do as listeners to take that quote into your own lives and move forward with it. So, Lindsay, if you don't mind, go ahead and read off your quote.
Yeah, I will. Thank you. And I realized just as we're about to read it that I've never really pronounced the last name of the person who wrote this quote. So I hope I don't embarrass myself. He is French. It's Francois Auguste De Chateaubriand is in my best French. I can pronounce it, but the quote goes like this, Stephen: "It is a master in the art of living draws no sharp distinction between his work and his play, his labor and his leisure, his mind and his body, his education and his recreation. He hardly knows which is which. He simply pursues his vision of excellence through whatever he is doing and leaves others to determine whether he is working or playing. To himself, he always appears to be doing both." And I obviously, as I was reading it, it can be he or she. Obviously, this is not a male quote, but for me, you want me to just go in and sort of why?
Let's just dive right into it. Yeah.
I stumbled on this quote, Stephen, probably about 15 years ago. I was actually trying to start my own company. And it was this, I was in the outdoor product space, and I was looking to start a bag company that was kind of all about adventure, but still looked, good. So you could walk into a hotel with it, but you could still go on like a adventure at the same time with the same backpack or bag. And this quote really spoke to me at the time, because that was what I was wanting to achieve. I felt like in my life at that moment, I was playing and working, and no one really could tell. And I had friends, because who you are in the world is how you show up out there, not who you are in your head. When people would say like, you always seem to be having such a great time, and like, well, I was working actually when that on that, whatever. And so, it just is this beauty of just being present, and the way we do one thing's the way we do everything. I could probably rhyme off a bunch of other um, analogies, Stephen, but for me, this is just about, your life is, we have such a short space in this world, right? And the older we get, and the more we realize, or if we bump up against people with cancer, if we have experience with people passing away in your life, you realize that life is short, and
Mm-hmm,
and just
mm-hmm.
playing is, and working and play and make it all one, and do something you enjoy. And there's many other quotes out there about, um, you know, if you find something you're passionate about, you'll never work a day in your life. I think George Bernard Shaw, one about, we don't grow old because we stop playing. We don't stop playing because we grow old. We grow old because we stop
I'll stop
playing, right? And
playing.
it's
Yes.
and it's so it's that, just like I always, and not being great, to be brutally honest with myself over the last couple of years, but that play and the work and doing things I'm passionate about, and
Mm-hmm.
saying yes to life, and stepping up and stepping in and being on the court, and not on the sidelines, and trying to just get on and just enjoy life, for whatever is there. And that play and the work is just try to merge that wherever I can, to be passionate about whatever I'm doing, and just just be grateful, and have and just love what I'm doing at all times. So yeah, so that's why it really spoke to me, Stephen, and for that's and it's been sort of always there. It's been that sort of when you ask me for my favorite quote, I'm like, you know what? I have a whole,
Got it.
on my iPhone, I've probably got a folder with about 60 or about 400 quotes on there that I save. But this one is always one that just sort of stands out above the rest for me.
And honestly, it's a really beautiful quote. And it does, as you said, it goes back to, if you do what you love, you'll not work a day in your life, because it is that distinction that there isn't a distinction. It is what you do, it is your passion, it is your purpose that drives you towards living your life. And when we live our life with purpose, and when we live our life with what satisfies us, what fills us up, that's really what I think this quote speaks
Mhm.
to, is that when doing the things that we enjoy, there is no distinction. It is life. And that's also why I often say there isn't life work balance. There's not work life balance. There's life work balance, because work
Mhm.
is just another part of life. But if you
Yep.
include your passions for what you do, as this quote very clearly and well put states, is that you are really going to not have a differentiation. You're going to live with purpose, and you're really going to drive yourself forward. And it
Mhm.
sounds like you've really taken this to heart in the things that you do. You enjoy helping others. You enjoy the aspect of coaching. You said like you're flying off ET, going out and feeling wonderful, and that fills you up, which makes you want to continue to do it and have that passion to do it. As you said, you've got your coaching certification you're about to wrap up, and your other one that you're pursuing right now. And this quote guides you, it inspires you. And
Mhm.
for our listeners out there, let it inspire you as well. Take this quote going forward, and I'll actually go and paste it into the comments, as the descriptions as well, so that way everybody can take this going forward, because it is beautiful, and it really clearly states how important it is just to have a life, not have a job, not have personal whatever, have a life that you can be satisfied with and live it throughout, instead of wondering, oh, I have to go do this, oh, but I want to go do this. Merge them together and make them a powerful force that can drive you forward into what you really want to go do.
Mhm. Yeah, I love that, and I love what you said, Stephen, around the how it shows up for you is that it's the purpose driven and purposeful life. And and especially with your specialty in coaching, around burnout, because it's
Hmm.
that what, it's burnout because a lot of people, like I remember um, hearing a quote from Simon Sinek talking about people don't get burnt out because they're overworked. They get burnt out because they lose their purpose. They don't
Hmm.
have like a
Absolutely.
purpose, and I, for what you're especially around of helping people avoid burnout, having
Yeah.
gone through it yourself, I think that this, that purposeful and saying yes. And one thing that I've always said to my clients, it's let's and in work, and I got this out of my landmark training, was, it's an and life rather than an or life, an and strategy
Hmm.
rather than an or strategy. It's not like this or that. How can you do, if you want to do both, how can you do this and that? And step up, and let's see what happens, let's do it, so I love, but back to what you said about that, the purposeful and being on purpose and purposeful, and it just shows up, no one knows if you're working or playing, it just shows up as both.
And that's kind of the idea, is like you said, people couldn't tell if you were working or playing, but in your mind you were doing what filled you up, you're doing what you
Mm,
enjoyed, even though it just happened to be work. But that's the point. That's the
yeah.
point of this quote, is that no one can tell the difference because it fills you up and because you enjoy it. You could tell when you're describing it, your smile, you're like, this is it. And that's really what it's about. So for the folks listening today, take this quote, bring it forward and look at your own life. Evaluate, can you tell the difference? Can you look at yourself through the eyes of someone else? To others, does it look like you're working and then playing? Or is it a seamless experience for them because they can't tell the difference? It's something to evaluate and something to really look into, because oftentimes anxiety, stress comes from the fact that where we are and where we want to be are too far apart. So, really finding a way to merge those together and move forward can help you live a filling life and really fill you up. Now, Lindsay, I want to thank you very much for joining us today. This has been a really great interview. Lots of good information. I'm sure that our listeners are going to get a lot out of the quote, as well as just hearing your inspiring story about where you've come from, what you're doing now, and how you go and want to help all these people in the world, either through the cancer funding or through your coaching. Anything
Thank
additional you'd like to say before we close out?
No, it's awesome, Stephen. Thank you so much for having me on. It's been a pleasure, and I really appreciate it. This has been fun. Thank you.
Yeah, it's been a blast. So, I want to thank everybody for joining us on Words for Life today. Join us next time when we go and hopefully do some more interviews and some more quotes that'll help inspire and motivate you to live a wonderful, happy, and fulfilling and purposeful life in 2024 and beyond. Thank you and have a great day.